Be safe. We'll get started shortly.
Yes, sir.
We'd like to call this meeting to order with the invocation and pledge by Todd Johnson.
Father God, we come seeking your face, Lord. We need your wisdom. You told us in James that if we lack wisdom, we should ask for it. And so, Father, we pray for wisdom. We pray now for this council that you would bind us together as one body representing the best for each district and for our entire county. We pray for all of our leaders, not just ourselves, but those at the state and the national level. And we just pray, Father, that we would seek your face and be a nation that returns to you. Father, bless now our endeavor to serve you through serving on county council and through serving the public. In Jesus' precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Todd. I think in the original Zoom/media relations thing, we were supposed to state the reason we're not here. I think you maybe did, but if you would just state again as to your reason of not being here, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for the opportunity. I had to travel to the low state for from business for my work, and unfortunately, due to rain and the traffic that is normally associated on I-20 with the rain and the holiday week, I have run into a couple of wrecks, and I just couldn't make it any farther back than about an hour and a half out. So I decided to stop so that this is an important meeting, and I wanted to be a part of it, sir.
Thank you. Bring some rain back with you. Item number 1, adoption of consent agenda. Do we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda? Motion by Mr. Scurry, second by Mr. Reeder. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Additions or deletions to the agenda? Do we have any additions or deletions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Scurry, second by Ms. Arrowwood. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, public appearances. Tonight we have Billy Morgan, Deputy Director of Workforce Development. Billy, if you'd please come talk a little bit about the Memorandum of Understanding. We've done this for years. I think we basically just always signed off on it, but with us having 4 new people on council, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share with them what this is all about.
Okay, Chairman, Council, thank you. My name's Billy Morgan. I work for Upper Savannah Council of Governments, and most of you are probably familiar with SC Works. A lot of people call us the unemployment office, but basically the Memorandum of Understanding is between our partner agencies that are co-located in our centers. We serve 7 counties: Greenwood, Abbeville, McCormick, Edgefield, Saluda, Newberry, and Lawrence. And we implement the WIOA program, which is Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, which is a workforce training program. It helps laid off workers get back to work. Sometimes they're laid off due to no fault of their own. They can't find a job. They can come into our center. We can help them write a resume, help them go to work. We have on-the-job training programs where we offset part of their wages to encourage an employer to hire somebody who may not have all the skills they need. If they're willing to bring them on to work, we can offset their wages while they're in training. So it encourages an employer to hire someone that may not have the skills they need. Sometimes they have to kind of retool themselves, and we pay for training, tuition, and everything to get them. You might have somebody that even worked in human resources. They can't find a job because company A over here requires ADP experience. They come from a plant that didn't have ADP, so if they want to go get that certification, we could pay for that training and such as that through the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. The Memorandum of Understanding is all of our partner agencies that work in our center, adult ed, vocational rehabilitation, DSS. They have to have some in-kind and monetary contributions to our center because we're all in this together. I mean, some of them are doing other things to try to get people employed. adult eds trying to get their GED so that when they do get employed, they can get a higher paying job. So it's just all in it together. And then there's also a redesignation of workforce area that we come to get signed today too, which basically says Upper Savannah has been the entity to work the WIA program in this area for probably almost 30 years. And we just have to get that approved again to be the one to continue to do it. Our SC Works Center here in Newberry is located in the same plaza with Piedmont Tech here in Newberry. So if you all have not come in there, any of you are welcome to come in anytime to see what we do. But we do a lot of one-on-one assistance with individuals looking for work. On the other side, we help businesses find workers so they can list their jobs with us. We're going to pre-screen people based on their criteria and help them apply. So we can do pre-screening. We do hiring events on site. We go on site to their facility and help them with hiring events as well. Advertising in the paper for them. And we work closely with Ready SC, which is part of the technical college system when a new company is coming. Just like Samsung, when they come, before they had a facility, we allowed them to come into our SC Works Center to interview people, and we were open late hours at night to allow them to find manpower even before they got set up in Newberry. So we have a facility over here, and we have an outside office. Basically, after hours, they can get a key and use our facility for such as that if it's after hours. So, but we love being part of Newberry, and if you all don't have any questions, I'm good. Does anybody have any questions?
All right, questions?
Actually, Mr. Morgan, I do. Every time I go by a restaurant in Newberry or any retail establishment in
Help
Newberry,
wanted.
now I see a help wanted sign.
That's not Newberry. That is national. That's
Well,
not even
so
South
I
Carolina.
was just asking. I was going to ask you,
my question.
what are the numbers of people that you're helping now find work, or what are the numbers of businesses that are looking for people, and how is that marrying together right now? What's
Yeah.
happening?
Right now, a lot of people it's taking advantage of the stimulus money when they lost their jobs. Because they lost their jobs during the pandemic, they qualified for the pandemic unemployment, which increases it was $600 in addition to regular unemployment. That has been cut to $300. When it got cut to $300, a lot of people couldn't live off of unemployment plus $300, so we saw a little spike of people going back to work. Now we have those people who probably work lower wage jobs. They actually are making more money on unemployment than they were working. So until that goes away, we feel that's going to continue to be a problem. Our governor has fixed it to where we're going to stop getting those benefits at the end of June this month. So those people are not going to get any money other than their regular unemployment. And if they worked a lower wage job, the maximum benefit you can get in South Carolina is $326 a week. Some of those who work lower level jobs, they're not getting $326. They're probably getting $150 to $230 a week. Once that extra $300 goes away, they're not going to be able to make it on that. So we look and we're prepared to see a huge influx of customers coming back in. We've already starting to see an uptick in traffic now. People starting to get nervous. But there's like 81,000 jobs posted in our SC Works system across the state. So I think it's because they're getting the extra
So
stipends.
is there a
Help 'em.
limit as to how long you can draw unemployment? I thought you had
Regular
to apply
unemployment
for
is only 20 weeks. But during the pandemic, people who didn't have a job after 20 weeks were extended 13 more weeks. And if they didn't have a job then, it was extended to 13 more weeks. So once your regular unemployment runs out, you can no longer get the extra as well. So all of that in South Carolina is going away in June.
So the extensions of the time are going away as well?
Yeah, you only get your 20 weeks. There's not going to be any extra weeks added to it. So we're excited about that because we have employers needing people. Today we had a I just left a job fair at Greenwood High School. We had about 12 employers that come to Greenwood High School for a chance to interview a student after graduation practice. They need people so bad, they're willing to give a high school graduate with no experience a chance at a job working in manufacturing. Not all of them were manufacturing employers, but it's a person. They're like, a lot of employers we saw that used to require a 2-year experience or even a high school diploma. Some of them have even back down to if you got a 10th grade education, if you can read and write. And these are employers that used to require a high school diploma. So they're doing anything they can to try to find people. I've heard of another employer that's having a hard time filling positions. They took their first shift people and asked them what would it take for them to go work third shift. And they pretty much had a different variety of ranges. And if it was something acceptable, the company paid them extra money so they could go to third so it could free up first, because they can hire people for first shift. They just can't find second shift and third shift people. So people are just doing anything they can to find help right now. So
Well, I hope that timetable you described
yeah.
makes a huge difference soon, because
I do too.
there are
And
businesses that are in this town that are shut down. They've shut down
I know.
either all the time or some days during the week because they can't find.
I think we were the second state to bail out on that extra money. The extra money's supposed to go all the way until like October, I think. But we were the second state to bail out of that. And since then, I think I read today there's 24 other states, because of the same manpower issues and their businesses are closing. They opted out of the pandemic extension.
Yeah, because obviously, when a business closes, it not only affects those people that aren't working at all, but it affects those people that are working
That's right.
for that business, because that business has to close because they can't work a full shift or
Yeah.
keep the doors open. It's pretty sad.
And then there's also a group of people who were laid off due to the pandemic because they actually had COVID and they have other effects of COVID. So COVID, I actually had COVID myself and I rebounded. I mean, I didn't have an issue, but I don't want to try it again. I might not have the same outcome. But some people had COVID and they still having difficulty breathing. They don't have the stamina they once had. So they qualify for that pandemic unemployment. So they're drawing unemployment because they physically can't go back to their jobs.
And I think that's a very legitimate reason, and I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a mixed bag of what's going on out there.
Thank you for
Anyway, thank you for
answering
your
that.
time.
Billy, thank you. I know
Okay.
it's probably on a short
Mr.
notice.
Chair,
Yes,
could I
sir.
ask a quick question? This is just for my own edification. Mr. Hip, as usual, kind of went where I was going to go. I think we're at critical mass. I heard a very interesting argument that said that nobody's going to create new jobs when they can't fill all the jobs that they have now. And so I thought that was good. Is the requirement to look for work while you're on unemployment back in effect, or is that still waived?
That went back into effect about 6 weeks ago. But that only means you have to look for work. You have to look for at least 2 jobs per week. If you look in the system and you don't find a job that is similar shift or the same pay as the one you left, there's nothing that's going to stop your check because you didn't apply for that job. So that's not really a great thing. At least now they're on the system looking, and if they don't look for 2 jobs a week, then it stops their check. But they're still looking, and we don't have the manpower, and it's not like it used to be in the days when those people used to go around with a sheet. They would go talk to human resources, apply for work. The human resource manager would sign, say they applied for work or said that they come by and we don't have any positions available. Human resources is lean and mean. Some of these companies, the human resource person is in a different state. Everybody has a 1-800 number to call for human resource needs. So it's not like it used to be. So it's kind of hard to figure that out.
Well, so how do we
Well, the
document
system is tied to
the
the
travel?
unemployment. So once they log in to file for their unemployment, they have to look for work in an electronic system that's tied to that system. So it looks to see that they did log into that system and they did review 2 jobs, but if they don't apply for the jobs, it's still going to give them credit for looking. So it's not full circle enough to me.
It ain't foolproof
So
yet.
not everybody probably
Thank you
puts
for-
their jobs in there too.
Thank you for indulging me, but that's kind of flawed on its face, as you well know, but.
Yeah,
I
but the
appreciate
thing about it
It's
is-
not your fault.
Sometimes these people, I mean, really, they will get lazy. If they're not working and they're getting a handout for a while, they will get lazy. And sometimes they don't get serious until their funds are starting to run out. So some of these people, when they log on and they may see a perfect job, or they may say, oh, I didn't know they were hiring. They pay $18 an hour, so I'm going to apply. So we do see some people applying. Since they put the job search back in place, we've had more people go back to work. So we've had less employers screaming at us to find them help, but
Well, it may be a good time for them to go back to work while it's less competitive out there, so.
that's what we try to encourage them now. And we tell them now, apply for work now. You don't go to work in one day. When you apply for work, it's probably 2 weeks before they start reviewing applications. Once they do that, they may have a process to where you come in for a face-to-face interview. Once that happens and they like you, they dwindle down the candidates. They may call you in they send you for a drug test. That takes a few days to come back. So, I mean, people that really start the interview process today, it may be the end of June before they actually get offered a job. So that's what we're trying to drive home right now.
Billy, again, thanks for coming. Anybody else got any questions? I did that and asked you to come for the sake of the 4 new council members, but I'll be honest with you, I learned some stuff tonight too, so. Again, thanks for taking your time out to come and spend it with us and share your knowledge, your information, and what you all do to hopefully better serve not only the citizens, but the employers of this county and this workforce development group also. So thank you.
And right now, if anybody you know needs to make an appointment to come in to try to find a job and have some one-on-one help, they all have to do is go to upperscworks.com, and there's a big green button, make an appointment. upperscworks.com. Click the green button and it basically, you can choose your time to come in. We felt this is more effective than us telling them when to come in. They actually get to choose when they want to get out of bed. So we've had more people to keep appointments this way. So,
Gotcha.
all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, 3.1, consideration to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Upper Savannah Workforce Area South Carolina Work System.
I move to approve it.
Moved by Mr. Hill,
Yes, sir.
second by Ms. Arrowood. Any discussion? All in favor, well, we got Todd, so in favor?
In favor, sir.
Okay, all in favor? All in favor, including Todd Johnson, who just said it over the speaker. Thank you, Todd. All right, item number 4, folks, ordinance number 041221, an ordinance to provide appropriations for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021, and ending June 30th, 2022 for the Newberry County budget for Newberry County ordinary purposes and for county purposes for which the county may levy a tax and receive revenues to provide for the levy of taxes on all taxable and personable real property in Newberry County for all county purposes, including sufficient tax to pay the principal and interest on outstanding indebtedness to Newberry County payable during said fiscal year, to provide for the matters relating to Newberry County, and to provide for the expenditures of said taxes and other revenues received by the county during said fiscal year, and to provide for the borrowing in anticipation of tax collections by the issuance of one or more tax anticipation notes if necessary. This is the third reading of the budget. The current budget is balanced at $27,678,608.
27 million.
Million.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank y'all for that correction. That's a little bit of a $27,678,608. Thank you. Listed below, we got some amendments for third reading. So, well, first of all, let's have a motion to be the third reading. Motion by Mr. Hill, second by Ms. Arrowood. All right, discussion. I think we got a couple amendments that needs to be made after, some review as of, since second reading, so let's go with that. All right, description, distribute the amount of budgeted or for employee salary increases, $232,000 in a manner that recognizes a combination of factors, cost of living, merit, pay, job duties, and market competitiveness as prioritized by council. Do we have a motion for that amendment? Mr.
Chair,
Yes.
I would make the motion that we do 2% across the board for all county employees as a cost of living based on the extraordinary expenses that everyone is seeing, from food costs to everything else. And so I would make the motion that we do it as a cost of living and just distribute it equally.
I second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second to that amendment?
Yes.
Mary?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion on that amendment? All in favor of it? All right. Item number, Jay, we can do all these and then have,
He made the motion, but
yes, motion by Todd, second by Mary.
I didn't hear him vote.
You in favor of that, Todd?
Yes, sir, it's my motion. I'm definitely in favor of it.
Gotcha, all right. So we can do all of them and then come back to the end. Thank you, ma'am. All right, item number 2, description. Determine annual salary increases for elected and appointed officials. Ordinance number 010117 provides that, A, its first meeting in May of each calendar year, Newberry County Council shall decide whether and at what percentage to fund increases in county funded maximum salaries for countywide elected officials. While the ordinance does not require council to increase these salaries, they will in fact be increased automatically at a rate of equal to the consumer price index for all urban consumers, CPI
Unadjusted.
unadjusted, as determined by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unadjusted, for the most recently reported 12-month period, unless council votes otherwise. The rate of increase reported for the most recent 12-month period, March 2021, was 2.6%. What are the wishes of council?
I make a motion that we give the same increase as the employees at 2%.
All right, we have a motion of 2%. We got a second by Mr. Reader for the 2%. Any discussion? All in favor?
I am in favor, and I should have said this earlier. The only thing I would say, based on what we just heard in the public comments, is that we should also tell our county employees that we understand how valuable they are, and we certainly are willing to take a look at that in the future as well. But I am certainly in favor.
All right, so the motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Todd. A motion to decrease the revenue of MC Commerce Park Philo from $450,769 to zero. Line item 010-0040-00425, and to decrease the expenditures, Economic Development, Mid-Carolina Commerce Park, Philo, by $450,769 to zero, which is 010-005-0931-002-092. Do we have a motion to make this adjustment?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hip, second by Ms. Arrowood. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous, Todd?
In favor, sir.
All right, so it is unanimous. All right, item number 4, amendment number 4, a motion to authorize the staff to adjust fiscal year 21-22 budget revenues and expenditures for capital projects to reflect the actual progress to date at the time of the budget's publication. Do we have a motion to address that? Motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Scurry. Any discussion? All in favor, is all hands up here, Todd?
In favor, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, a motion to decrease the expenditure of animal control spay and neuter from $75,000 to $50,000, 010-005-06210 03145 and increase council contingency from 133,923 to 158,923, which reflects a no change in total budget. I think this was a request by Mr. Hip, if I'm not bad wrong.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I looked into our history on that spay and neuter program, and I was on council at the time that initiated. I looked at the 17-18 budget for that line item, and it was $40,000. And here we are 4 years later, almost 100% higher for an item that when it first was brought up was intended to decrease if the effective spay and neuter program was working, we would have fewer animals to spay and neuter. So just based on the increase, and I did make some phone calls to some local animal hospitals based on what their cost increases have been or would have been over the last 4 years, and it doesn't reflect this kind of cost increase in our budget. Therefore, I'd like to put that $25,000 into contingency if we have a need during the year, whether it be this salary that we're going to look at, our total salary adjustment or whatever. So anyway, I'm asking that we reduce that line item from $75,000 to $50,000.
All right, you heard the request of Mr. Hip. Comments, questions?
Mr. Chair, I completely agree with Mr. Hip's logic. I am not faulting the logic. Unfortunately, our animal shelter is already not taking cats because they're overwhelmed with them. And I'm afraid that the victim of this might become our neighborhood, because I get more calls about animal calls and not taking cats and those things. And so for that reason, I think because it would affect our neighborhoods, I believe we should stay the line on this, and I would hope that we can do that.
I kind of feel somewhat the same way, maybe for a different reason. I totally understand Mr. Hip's desire to potentially cut it, not technically cut it, I guess delay it potentially would be more the case in case of. But I think after we've had second reading and public hearing, I hate to go cutting someone at this point. I would rather us go ahead and keep it where we got it, and then potentially if we want to really, really zero in on this one next year, zero in on it next year. I just hate to set a precedent of changing something after the second reading, et cetera, and the public hearing.
Well, we actually have already had several amendments tonight that did make changes after the public hearing.
But we already knew they were coming.
Well, except for the 2% across the board cost of living increase that we changed at our work session after public hearing. So that changed. And again, when this thing was first enacted, it was supposed to be for people who had pets that could bring their pets in, and this would offset the expense of spay and neuter, and that was a good thing. It's my understanding now that we have some people that are going out catching feral animals and then bringing them in, getting them spayed or neutered, and then taking them back out and releasing a feral animal again, to fend for itself out there for food or, that just, I just don't understand that logic.
Mr. Hip, I don't disagree with your logic at all. I wish I could say I did, but I don't. I think the victims become the neighborhoods where if they're reproducing, they just grow exponentially. And so I think you're right on point with the logic, sir.
I think we need to look at the program, but not cut it this year, and see what's really going on, and because we'll give this manager time to work with us and try to get a grip on why it has gone up so much. I do know the cost has gone up at Palmetto, is that the name? Mm-hmm. But I think we need to, instead of just cutting it without giving them ample time to work up anything, because this has come before the Finance Committee, 2 workshops, 2 readings, and 1 hearing, and I just feel like it's the wrong time to cut it out without giving the public the right for the hearing and the manager of that department.
And if it's money they don't need at the end of the year, they can turn it back in and it goes into contingency anyway.
So I asked that department to, let's try to work on this and look at what's really happening and see if we can cut it, but, because we will be looking at it harder next year. But I think we need to look at it right now and see what can be done through this fiscal year.
All right, we've had discussion. Any additional discussion? All right, with that being said, all in favor of the motion? I'm sorry.
No second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Shealy. All right, now, any discussion? All in favor? All in favor of the motion? All right, it's Mr. Shealy, Mr. Hip, and Mr. Reader. All opposed to the motion? Mr. Scurry, myself, Mary, Todd, what's your?
Again, I don't disagree with the logic that Mr. Hip used to arrive at the decision. I just oppose it because of the impact to our citizens.
So the motion actually fails 4-3. Again, I totally agree that it's not something we do need to look at.
I agree we need to look at it, but
Not a problem at all in looking at it. All right, now, we go back to the original third reading for our fiscal year 2021-22 budget as amended. Do we have a motion to accept the 2021?
You've already got the motion.
Oh, all right. All in favor of that as amended? Mr. Johnson?
I am in favor, with the exception that I recuse myself from anything to do with law track or WTH technology budget.
Okay, but the budget as a whole you're in favor of?
That is correct, sir.
All right, thank you. So the budget passes unanimously with amendments. All right, ordinance number 04-1321, an ordinance to provide for the appropriation for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021, and ending June 30th, 2022 for the Newberry County Library, Piedmont Technical College, and Newberry Agency for Disabilities and Special Needs to provide for the levy of taxes on all taxable personal and real estate properties in Newberry County for said purposes, to provide for the expenditure of said taxes and other revenues received by the county during said fiscal year for said purposes. This is the third reading. Do we have a motion this be the third reading? Motion by Ms. Arrowood, second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Mr. Johnson, yes or no?
I agree, yes.
Okay, you're in favor. Thank you. All right, number 6, an ordinance expressing the intent of Newberry County Council to declare Newberry County as a sanctuary county for Second Amendment rights. This is the third reading. Do we have a motion this be the third reading? Motion by Mr. Hipp, second by Mr. Shealy. Any discussion? All in favor? Mr. Johnson, what's your vote?
In favor, sir.
All right, so there's a 5, all opposed. 5-2 with Mr. Scurry and Mr. Reader opposing, and they have very eloquently stated their reasons for it, and understandably so, so it passes 5-2. Item number 7, consideration to approve the upgrade of the network core switches for the Newberry County Sheriff's Department in the amount of $63,712.21. Captain Ben Chapman.
Good evening. The Sheriff's Office would like your consideration in purchasing some network upgrades to our system and our core in the amount of $63,712.21. Purchase is made from Encore Technology Group, who provides our monitoring and support to our network. All this is coming from this year's budget. No extra funds are needed, and it was a budgeted expense. It's taking a little more funds than what we had budgeted to do it, because we took a cut last year, but we were able to make that up for from other accounts that we have.
Okay. You heard the explanation there from Captain Chapman. Any discussion? If not, what are the wishes of council?
Make a motion that we accept the upgrades.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Reader,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Arrowood. Any discussion? All in favor? Mr. Johnson?
I just appreciate them looking in their own budget and being able to come up with those funds so that it didn't cost any extra. And networks are just an essential part of today's world. So thank you to them for the hard work, and I am in favor.
All right, so that's a unanimous vote. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for all y'all do.
Thank you. I don't think I mentioned, but I will mention that it is state contract purchasing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item number 8, consideration to approve Vector for the county fleet maintenance and management contract. Ms. Krista Waldrop, Purchasing Director.
Thank you. We solicited requests for proposals on March the 16th for the fleet maintenance and management. This is for the entire county fleet to include fire, rescue, sheriff, EMS, all the other departments, public works, heavy equipment, everything. Even the lawn equipment is serviced by them. We received 2 responses. They were evaluated based on the criteria. Several different factors were involved, and it was point scoring system rather than based on solely on price. The evaluation committee consisted of Tommy Long, Emergency Services Coordinator, Mike Pisano, the Public Works Director, Garrett Laminette with the Sheriff's Office, and myself. They were individually scored, and then I collectively ranked them. The highest ranked firm was Vector, who is also the incumbent contractor. We do recommend them. They've been doing a fine service for us since 2009. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those.
All right, any questions for Krista?
Yeah, what were the 2 costs associated?
In the response for Vector, it's $613,002. That does not include non-target items. Those are billed as they are, requests come up for repairs that are considered non-target. Their hourly rate is $30 an hour based on those non-target charges. The other response was from First Vehicle, and their first year, let me back up, the $613,002, that's the same cost for each subsequent year for the first 3 years. And we decide whether or not we would renew it again for a 4th or even 5th year. The first year for First Vehicle was $657,085, and theirs went up each additional year in the first 3 years. The second year increase went up by $17,000, and the third year went up $15,000. Their hourly rate for non-target's $42.41.
So not only did your ranking system indicate that Vector was preferred, but Vector was also the low bidder.
Taken into consideration as one of the criteria that we evaluated them on, yes.
Okay, any other questions?
Just one, Mr. Chair. Crystal, and this is just the way it's been done, is they set limits on years and mileage. Obviously, our public safety fleet, like our fire trucks and all of those, are out of date, and so they all end up being non-contract, basically, for lack of a better word. Has there been any consideration into just doing a blanket, you cover our fleet? And if so, what would that price look like?
I don't know. I think it would be exorbitant. We've never asked them to do that in any solicitation, just because of, one, like you said, the age of the equipment at Public Works and the fire departments. It's not just, fire. Public Works has some older equipment as well. I'm not sure how they would come up with that price, because you could have a non-target repair at $5,000-$6,000. You just don't know what it's going to be. It could be $50. Just depends on what happens to the equipment or vehicle. They do perform some of the pump tests, I think, and they do that, they subcontract some of that work out. And I do know that, of course, in the budget, you can see it, that, you know, public safety's, well, I guess it's EMS too? No. It's just Tommy's Fire and Rescue is taken out. Their amount alone is $141,000 for his, that's considered in target. That doesn't count for his non-target.
I don't think they could come up with a price.
That would be hard to determine that.
For the age equipment we have, I think it'd just be a guess.
I'm not sure
guessing
what
game
Tommy
to
has
do.
in his non-target, but it's a good bit of money.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I
see
don't
And I
that.
don't think they've been far off.
Oh, I think,
yeah.
yeah, I think it would be a moving target, to say the least. I guess, you know, for each agency to try to budget non-contracted, for lack of a better term, and try to figure out, okay, I gotta figure that at least one fire truck's gonna blow an engine this year or whatever is kind of difficult as well. I just wondered if we'd ever looked at that.
Might be something you could track over a few years and still be a guessing game.
Right. I don't think we provide the non-target. They may know the cost of what our non-target amount is, but again, and it does change. They don't always spend all of it, you know, or it just depends on what happens within their budget or within their fleet.
Could we get that as an alternate bid perhaps, and just kind of see what the difference is?
I suppose.
Not for this time.
Right.
I'm gonna vote for it. I mean, I'm in agreement with it for tonight. I just wanted to if that's something we could look at in the future.
Be curious to see
Right.
what they come up with.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm looking at here, Karen. Just $35,000 is what? For fire alone and non-target, they have $35,000 in the 21-22 repairs.
And
To
that's about
vehicle.
$1,000, and again, you know, I think when we looked and discussed the budget, even when we were talking about buying some new rolling stock, that was part of what we considered, that it was not an excessive amount of expenditures that has been gone out on equipment or rolling stock, I guess you would say. So I think we're definitely well within the part that we hopefully target for the amount of monies. I got no problem with us checking on it, but checking out in the future. But I think we've stayed they've stayed very much within line of what would be expected within our fleet of vehicles.
Actually, $30 an hour is fairly cheap for non-target
I
work.
wish I could get it. For that one.
Very cheap, very cheap.
All right, with that being said, we've already got a unanimous vote on that. Unless council has a problem with it, we're about to go into executive. Huh?
There's no motion or second on number 8, and y'all have not voted.
I thought we had. No? Okay, all right, we got a motion?
I'll make a motion that we,
Second? All in favor? Todd? Todd, you in favor?
He's muted himself, hang on.
Yes, sir, I am. I'm sorry, I couldn't find the button.
All right. All right, so it is unanimous, thank you. All right, now, unless there's an objection to council, we are about to go into executive session and don't know exactly how long that will last. And I will, if it's okay again with council, I'll allow public comments after the executive session, but if there's anybody here who may not want to sit around and wait that wants to speak, is anybody signed up for public comments?
Remember?
Yes, sir. Do you want to speak?
Yeah, if you would
If you want
like.
to, or you can wait till after the meeting, whichever.
I won't be long.
Okay. Anybody else, Taylor?
No, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate from all the law-abiding gun owners in Newberry County, we appreciate the passage of this ordinance. And a few minutes ago, you mentioned about the 2 no votes, and there were some reasoning behind why they voted, why Mr. Scurry and Mr. Reader voted no. The public didn't have the opportunity to hear those reasoning. Would you mind saying why you voted no?
It's due to the excessive amount of gun violence that we have right now in South Carolina, and based on the fact that the Second Amendment already exists.
All right.
We're not gonna change anything.
Okay, Mr. Scurry?
I just didn't feel like listening to our governor speak. Went down to myself personally and sit down there, and he described that it's passing on a lot of counties, but he don't see no need for it. But he don't say that my county don't need it, the governor said. Like Master said, he don't say New County don't need that, but he see no need for that.
Okay, and I appreciate your response. Are there anything that any law-abiding gun owner like myself could change your mind or?
This is not a debate.
Yeah.
Comment.
Pardon?
Just for comments, it's not.
Oh, okay.
getting debate.
All right, very good. All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, unfortunately, tonight, we're gonna have to ask the audience to leave for us to do the executive session, since Todd is zooming in for the meeting. So executive session, code section 30-4-70, discussion of employment, not unemployment, discussion of employment, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, or release of an employee, a student, or a person regulated by a public body by the appointment of a person to a public body. However, if an adversary hearing involving the employee or client is held, the employee or client has the right to demand that the hearing be conducted publicly. Nothing contained in this item shall prevent the public body and its discretion from deleting the names of other employees or clients whose records are submitted for use at the hearing. Item number 2, South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70A2, discussion of the negotiations to proposed contractual arrangements and proposed sale or purchase of property, the receipt of legal advice where the legal advice relates to the pending, threatening, potential claim or other matters covered by attorney-client privileges, settlement of legal claims, or the position of the public agency in other adversary situations involving assertion against the agency of a claim. Do we have a motion to go into executive session? Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Ms. Arrowood, all in favor? All right, we'll be going into executive session. Currently, we need Mr. Toffiker, me again, Taylor?
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion to come out of executive session? Motion by Mr. Hibbs, second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? All right. Do we have someone who would like to report out of executive session?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to do that. Newberry County Council made an executive session to consider two matters as were closed on the agenda. One dealt with hiring an employee, and the other dealt with settling a lawsuit. There was no action taken in those executive sessions.
All right, item number 10, discussion and or action regarding county administrator position.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we authorize you as chairman of county council to enter into an agreement to retain an interim administrator.
All right, you heard the motion. Do we have a second?
I make a second.
Second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. Todd? Yes.
I am in favor, sir, that we enter an agreement with Parker Pope and Consulting for both an county administrator temporarily and to assist us in the search moving forward for a full-time administrator.
All right. Thank you. I think that's all included in the document, my friend. All right, so we got a motion second, and that one is unanimous. Item number 14, discussion and action.
Also, Mr. Chairman, also have a motion that we authorize you as chairman of county council to enter into an agreement to provide for a search for a full-time county administrator.
Okay. We got a second on that one. Ms. Arrowwood, second on that one. I'm sorry. All right, any discussion? All in favor, including Todd?
I'm here and agree, sir.
All right, that's unanimous.
Okay.
Third one.
And I have one more motion. I'd like to move that we authorize the attorneys to pursue settlement of the West Hobby matter as discussed in executive session.
All right, do we have a second on that one? All right, any additional discussion? All in favor? Todd?
I am in favor, sir.
That one is unanimous. All right, with that being said, we'll move to item number 12. Does anybody have any appointments tonight?
I do, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have a couple of appointments. First, Mr. Bill Braswell, who has pretty much dedicated his life to the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs and giving himself. I would like to reappoint him to that committee.
All right, you heard the motion by Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Arrowwood. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous for Mr. Bill Braswell. All right, others?
Mr. Edward Jeter, Reverend Edward Jeter from Whitmire, who has been just a blessing to our community, would like to continue to serve on the Westview Committee.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of Mr. Edward Jeter for the Westview. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Arrowwood. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous for Mr. Edward Jeter for the Westview. Anybody else?
Miss Beth Bozard, who has served faithfully on the Newberry Hospital Committee. Her term is expiring at the end of the month, and of course, most of you know her from her time at the health department, and she's done a great job for us there, and I'd like to reappoint her.
All right, motion for Ms. Beth Bozard on the hospital board. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Reader. Any discussion? All in favor? That is unanimous for Beth to be on the hospital board again. Any other?
Last one, sir. Last one. Mr. George Oxner, who is on the hospital board, done a tremendous job for our district and for our county, and I'd like to reappoint Mr. George Oxner to the hospital board.
All right, got a motion for Mr. George Oxner for the hospital board. You have a second on that one? Mary Arrowwood seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, that's all you say for you?
Yes, sir, I quit, I promise.
All right, I think Ms. Arrowwood had some.
Yes, I have Brian Jeffcoat that needs to be extended for his service on the disability and special needs, that his term will end on June the 30th, so I'd like to put him in for another term. He's been on there for a while too, and is willing to serve.
All right, Brian Jeffcoat is the motion. Do we have a second? All right, got a second by Mr. Reader for the, Mr. Brian Jeffcoat for special needs and disabilities. Any discussion? All in favor? It is Todd?
I am in favor, sir.
All right, all in favor. Anybody else? None? No more appointments, all right, hey, that's great. Just want to say in commentary, for all those people who are volunteering, it's definitely, admirable for them to do what they do and the dedication that they show. So again, thanks, and anytime you see any of these people out on the streets, if you happen to see them, recognize them, thank them for what they do as a public service, and I mean a true public service to our community. All right, public comments, I think we've already entertained that. Does anybody else in the public want to speak? Okay, comments or requests from council members. Mr. Johnson, since you're out there and you might want to go ahead and get on the road riding, you got any comments?
No, sir, I do not.
All right, Mr. Shealy?
No comment.
Mr. Hill?
No comments.
Ms. Arrowwood?
I'm glad to see us get the budget passed,
Yes.
so we can move forward.
Mr. Reed?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody, the team for working on the budget. I know it's been a crucial time, but we appreciate everything that y'all did working on the budget.
And the good Reverend Mr. Scurry?
Yes, sir. We'll thank our county attorney for a job well done, and also our two young ladies. I know it's been rough on y'all, but God bless you. Hang in there. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. And I'd also like to thank Debbie and Karen. I don't know who you were thinking. You said young lady, but anyway.
If I could throw an amen in there, because I've had a couple of questions and they've been right on the spot and answered that and just been so responsive and such a blessing, so thank you.
Well, bless y'all, for if you were young starting off with the budget, you're probably old by now just because of pulling your hair out. So with all that being said, thank y'all so much for everything y'all do. The entire team, all the department heads who contributed,
Yes.
council members who asked questions, et cetera, to get this to where it is today. Again, there's probably not enough thanks to go around to everybody, but again, thank y'all for everything. Very, very, very appreciative of where we are. And I think Newberry County's future is extremely bright, and again, we can't be blessed enough with the people that we have working here, so thank y'all. And Catherine, thank you, because I know with in the scope of what we're doing right now, there's a lot going on. And Donna, thank you for your contribution to it. We really appreciate you. Taylor's been phenomenal. But anyway, thanks to everybody. Again, I don't know that I don't want to get total name calling, but thank y'all. Future meetings, economic development meeting, 6.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Can I, 1 second. I didn't realize that Donna was there because I can't see the audience. What a blessing she is. She has not missed a meeting as we've gone through this process.
Absolutely, she's phenomenal. All right, economic development meeting on June 14th at 6 p.m., county council meeting June 16th at 6 p.m., and then moving into the second half of the year, county council meeting on July 7th at 6 p.m. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Shealy, second by Mr. Scurry. We are adjourned.